Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne's Sharp World, where today we are taking a look at two brand new budget Kizers that will be dropping tomorrow, Tuesday, October 10th at 10 p.m., part of their big drop for the month coming up. It's got some premiums, got some budgets, and it's got some even extra budgety knives from the Laconic series, which is what's in here, these two boxes right here. Today, we're taking a look at the Laconic series, and then tomorrow, I've saved my favorite Kizer offering from this drop to bring to you guys tomorrow, the day it drops, so you can get one if you want, and believe me, I really think you're going to want one of what I'm going to show you tomorrow. Today is still solid. Today are still decent knives. But yeah, there's one in this group that really has my attention a little more than the rest, or equally as much. I tell you what, that the Huntsman, the Kizer Huntsman, the premium one, that was pretty sweet too. But the one I'm bringing tomorrow is my favorite from the drop. And before I get into this, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you like what you see, please do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button, follow along. I will continue to bring you the content, all the Kizers, all the Civivis, all the Vostids and CRJBs and Spydercos and not Benchmates. What are we talking about? We ain't talking about Benchmate on this channel anymore. But you will see a lot more good stuff coming up. So hit that subscribe button. And what we have here is none other than the Kizer Porcupine, and this one's pretty interesting. It's very pointy, very pointy. We have a nice little Wharncliffe blade here. Let's take a quick look at some specs, and I'm only going to give the most important specs for today since I got two knives, try to save a little on the time. We are looking at, for the Porcupine, an overall length of 8.15 inches, so this is a relatively long knife. Blade length of 3.44 inches, handle length of 4.72 inches, blade steel 9CR18 MOV, which is pretty much going to be, I believe, the standard steel for the Kizer Laconic series. So far, every knife that's come out in this series has been 9CR18 MOV. I have no reason to think that future knives will not have that steel. And I've also seen a very similar price tag on all these knives. They all seem to be in the $47 to $48 range. This one here is coming in at $47. So, you know, for a Kizer, that's as cheap as you're going to find a Kizer. And that's really close to half of what the Vanguard Kizers go for, which I personally think, although I don't know, with the premiums that have been coming out lately, it's hard to say that the Vanguard is Kizer's bread and butter lineup, because these premiums they've been dropping this year have been beyond hot. They have been absolutely incredible. But this Laconic series, let's go back to that. This has some unique ergos. Got a really good grip position here and a nice little area to choke up. You have a nice, aggressive Wharncliffe style blade. Pretty slicey edge here. I didn't take the calipers to this, but I'm thinking this is somewhere, it kind of feels like 20 thousandths. I don't think it's an absolute razor like some of the other Kizers, but a very good edge on it. You guys are pretty much guaranteed to get a good edge on a Kizer, and I really mean that. There's a handful of companies that kind of just have my seal of approval on edges. Kizer's one of them. Kizer, Hogue, Spyderco, Civivi can definitely be putting that, and so can CJRB and Vosti. There's a good edge on a knife nowadays. It's getting harder and harder to really rant and rave about. Spyderco still impress me. Hogue's impress me, but there's so many good budget knives with excellent edges. It's really few and far between that you come across one that doesn't have a good edge. Not to say that doesn't still exist, because I have found some, but very, very few. And none of them have been Kizers. So great blades, comfortable handle. You got just the typical bent over clip here that just fine with the room, no issues there. This one's okay. You know, I'm kind of struggling at the very beginning to really get excited about the Laconic series. Not that it's a bad series. I think Kizer's really onto something. I think this is a great gateway into the Kizer brand, because it does have great action. Like, this flipper is fantastic. The blade's great. The ergos are good. But you can tell it's definitely kind of just like an entry-level knife. It's very budgety. But again, it's been a while. You know, back in the day, budget knives weren't this good. A $47 knife, you know, it was good, not great. This is probably considered great for a budget knife at $47. The problem is you can't help but to compare it to other Kizers and Sencuts, and there's a lot of competition out there. So still very interested to see where this lineup goes, because they've set a theme. They've set a very good theme here. We'll put this one up here. Actually, we'll put this off to the side, and we will bring in the next Kizer from this month's drop. And this one I do like a little more than the porcupine. This one here is called the submarine. And there's something about this knife that kind of reminds me of other knives. It kind of in a very weird way. First of all, you got this very bulky blade on a handle that feels actually really good in hand. I have zero issues with the ergos on this. I think my hand here is the perfect width, perfect everything for this handle. And for what it is, just, flat G10 scales with some, good chamfering on the sides and good texturing. It feels really, really good in my hand. And where the ramp is kind of towards the back of the blade here, you got some nice jimping. So it really is great in the ergos department. Nowhere to choke up, so you're kind of just fixed here. But I do like it. And I like the robustness of this blade up here. You have a tip that is really kind of beefy, dare I say it. And it still comes down to a pretty good edge along the blade here. Again, didn't take calipers, can't really come together. I think this one is definitely thinner behind the edge than the porcupine. So you might be getting closer to that 18,000th-ish mark, something around there. But again, we're not talking a razor, we're just talking a good, true EDC knife. Kizer's one goal with the Laconic series is to just be a true everyday beater knife. Use it hard, use it good, use it like you should. And they did achieve that here. And I will say, in terms of action, I think this is my favorite of the Laconic series so far. Really nice flipper, and you got a hole that is just big enough to get in there, kick that blade out. So it's a nice fidgety knife. And this one, the submarine is actually a whole $1 more. Wow, 48 bucks. And it's got your typical 9CR 18 MOV steel. We're looking at an overall length of 7.4 inches, a blade length of 3.2 inches, and a handle length of 4.2 inches. So let's actually do a quick size comparison here with both of the new models. So there you have the submarine as well as the porcupine. And we'll bring a couple other Kizer models in here that you're probably more familiar with. Here's the Kizer Escort. And then also let's bring in this guy. This is the Kizer Gemini. And I'm going to say this right now. Kizer, you need to bring this model back. This was one of the best Geminis you ever made. Nice and slim handle, inset liners, just a different type of smooth. Such a good little EDC, that Kizer Gemini. It's been, I think, a few years since this thing came out now. They need to do another run of this version because it's the best Gemini to date under $100. It's fantastic. I believe it was $72 when it came out. But there you go. There's some size comparisons. As you can see, the submarine lines up really well with the Gemini, and the porcupine matches up pretty well with the Escort, minus that extra little bit of a point there at the end of the handle. But they really do fit in with the lineup in terms of just size. I mean, as you can see, these are pretty average size EDCs, and they're just a lot more affordable. And you know what? Let's do this too. Let's bring out my other Laconic series knives. Here we have the Swedge, and here we have the Amicus, the button lock from the version. And this is a very, very solid button lock. When it comes to budget button locks under 50 bucks, this is one of the better ones. It is not the best. The Sencut Serene is the best. But again, that's stiff competition. And for a brand new lineup coming out, to have a button lock this good, that says something. So they're definitely on the right track here. And a pretty nice lineup so far. Now, there's more than this. There's also a couple other new ones that are going to come in this drop. And actually, one of them I like, I think, even more than these two. They didn't send it to me, but it will be available tomorrow as well. So check out all the new drops in the Laconic series. And just kind of let me know what you guys think of these so far. I mean, I've already given my thoughts on the Amicus, so we'll get that out of there, as well as the Swedge. The Swedge is a really nice longer knife if you want just a flipper. That's a great option, again, for like 47, 48 bucks. Between these two, I think I would probably go Submarine. I really like that blade shape. It's a nice beefy blade, and it is definitely one that I think would hold up better to like really hard use. Not that this wouldn't. I think this would be fine as well on the porcupine, but you just have a much more, I wouldn't say fragile or dainty, but, more of a point up here, which is always a little more susceptible to snapping if you work it too hard. But both of these knives have really nice action, and I think pretty good aesthetics. I think the designs on these are pretty good. I wouldn't call them great or like some of the best, but I think they're solid. But they're nothing that gets me too super excited. I will say the level of smoothness on this Submarine. This is a really smooth one. I like where they're going with this one. This one's pretty good. So if you want to get into the Laconic series, I think this would be one of my first choices, along with probably the Swedge and the Amicus. And I'd probably put the Porcupine in at fourth, maybe so far of the ones I've handled. But yeah, interesting offerings from the Laconic series. And we'll see how this continues to grow. So let me know what you guys think of these two. And stay tuned, because tomorrow we're talking about one of my favorite Kizers to come out this year. It's going to be featured tomorrow. So hope you're excited for that as much as I am. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Hope you have a great rest of your day. And until the next one, I'm out.